So I want to make a quick video to address some confusion I had and some differences on M52, S52 timing procedure. So, I mean, the factory service procedure will tell you to do one thing. Everyone gets super OCD about making sure that the slots are lined up on these sprockets and the arrows are pointing exactly up and down, etc., etc., etc. The only thing that matters is that two things. The slots here need to be driven all the way that way, clockwise. So just like you'd expect, you can crank this gear over with the tool. I actually did it without any of these fasteners installed in case I needed to reposition the gear, because it's really easy to put them in there afterwards. So you drive this gear, this assembled, with the thrust washer and everything in there, you drive it all the way over. Next thing that is super important is that the Vanos piston is fully retracted and it stays fully retracted. So to do that, in the normally off position for the solenoid, when you supply air, it puts it to the forward side of the piston and drives the spline gear backwards, and it holds it there. So put 40 or 50 psi in here and this will stay retracted no matter what. Next thing you can do, some people might cringe, but it's not on the sealing surface and it's not on the rotating surface, right? You can come in here with something, or over there on the wrench flats, but this was convenient for me to put my elbow on. Grab a grip of the cam. I'm not going to do it one-handed because I don't want to nick anything. And you can get that vice grip or whatever to rest here so you can put your elbow on it. Hold that cam in place at your desired timing so it does not move. Although you can still tweak it a bit afterwards anyway. So anyway, I did that. Make also very, very certain that you fiddle around and be very picky that as soon as this chain moves a millimeter, you immediately see the spline gear go in. Don't let this, if this moves even a little bit and that spline gear doesn't move correspondingly, back it out. Try another tooth on the spline gear. Folks there seems to be a magic tooth to it. I've heard that term used before. So make sure that it immediately starts sucking the gear in when and you're only moving this chain with your tool just enough to get that initial tooth to bite. Then you don't want to pull the unit in this way, because you have your shop air holding the piston back, so it shouldn't move, but it should be a bit of nudging the chain and a bit of tapping on the housing, working it in. You're not going to get full chain travel this way. It's not going to be the same as cranking it over. And if you pull that piston out, your Vanos travel will be, and your cam timing will be incorrect. So anyway, shop air on there, sucked all the way in, bolted up. Go and recheck your cam timing, whether you're using the factory blocks or these ones from Mr. Perry Herbling. Anyway, Alien Engineering, fantastic resource. These are super handy. This is a slightly custom cam recommended timing for my particular set of Schrick cams and what I'm going for with this engine's power band. So anyway, yep, so it's timed. You've got this guy fully sucked in. Now, because you didn't pay super close attention to the slots, because I said it doesn't matter. If this isn't quite right, if you can't get the bolt through, just slide it off of this gear stub, pull it towards you a little bit and over. You can sneak that chain off just like, as long as this tensioner is depressed, which it should be. Clock this gear any orientation you want that you can get a bolt through everything, through all the holes. It doesn't matter. Once you tighten it, it is clamped in place and it doesn't slide. Same thing, like this gear doesn't move relative to this one. When you clamp this, it is always driving. All it is providing a counter torque for when you drive that piston in. It's going to spin the inner stub shaft on the cam instead to advance it. Like this, the relative position of these teeth never changes. like once you tighten these down. So check your timing, tighten these. It's getting to be longer than I want, but I'm trying to be thorough here. Next, remove your cam timing blocks. I actually left the shop air on to keep it fully retracted, just like if there was oil pressure on the engine. Release your tensioner, make sure you have your dummy tensioner in over here. Spin the engine over, 2 full rotations. You'll get your lobes back pointing the way they should. Make sure that you get, you know, right to TDC. And what I found the first time I did it, the exhaust cam was pretty much dead nuts on, but because of the taking up the initial slack in this chain, the intake cam had moved. No big deal, but it's important to notice that it did move. So you crack these guys back loose to free up this rotation. Pull your timing block off. Sneak that cam over a little bit with a wrench, or you can use these flats I've been using back here because it's fine. You're not putting that, it shouldn't take that much torque. And get your cam alignment back. Retighten these fasteners. Spin it over again. You do that. It took me twice. And now I get repeatable results. Every time I spin around to top dead center, these blocks slip right on. Last thing you can do, and probably should do, I have one hand so I'm not going to do it right now, is if you have your shop air here, you can also grab 12 volts and a switch, and you can actuate the Vanos and divert your shop air to the back side of the piston, drive that spline gear in, rotate your cam over 12.5 degrees or whatever it is, and you can check your distance here before and after. You should have a delta of 8.5 millimeters or so, and make sure everything's moving freely. And so I advanced the cam and I spun it over. Of course, things aren't going to line up when it's advanced, but I advanced the cam, spun it over a few times, then removed 12 volt power and just left the shop air on so it has the power to retract the cam back to the initial point, the non-Vanos engaged position. Spin it around. Check timing one more time. Okay, we're good. Nothing's moved. Go ahead and do your final torque on these, or throw a little bit of, I'm not sure if it's recommended or not. I'm going to throw a little bit of, pull one of these at a time, clean it, put a little bit of blue thread locker on it, and then retorque to factory. And then you're actually timed, and you have confidence that it didn't move due to taking up the mechanical slop in these chain links. Make sure you're tightening these down with tension, with all of your tensioners active. And if this is a hydraulic down here, you need to either get one of the old ones with a spring, a mechanical spring in it only, not hydraulic assisted, or grab one of these little dummy tensioners with a threaded rod in it that you just go to kind of finger tight. It's like 11 inch-pounds, but just as long as you're tightening it with like your thumb, thumb and forefinger, till you slip off of it. That's taking up all the slop. I'll stop rambling, but I just wanted to clarify because there's about 10,000 videos telling you to make sure that these slots go back, people click it back just end to end, thunk, 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 and it's just not necessary. This is literally, you just have to have the holes line up on this side, and you need to have the correct travel over here. This is the only one that matters. So before installing the Vanos unit, crank it all the way right, make sure the Vanos piston's fully retracted. As you start to bring it in, make sure your cam doesn't move, make sure the piston stays fully back. You may have to walk it over with your tool a little bit, but make sure as you're moving the chain a little bit with the tool, you're continuing to tap and drive this in to keep that piston fully retracted. You don't want to pull this over more and have the piston start to come out. That's not its neutral state. If you do that, then you get oil pressure in here. It's going to move it forward a little bit, because like if you've pulled the piston out, it's going to retract. Actually, sorry, it's going to pull it further back that way. I'll stop rambling. I hope this clarifies stuff for somebody, because I was not getting the consistent results I wanted and had to call in some expert help and get it figured out. All right. Thanks.